So it is the young people of Nigeria who ought to take control of the government, not demanding from the government. For example, why it's good to protest, but why protest that about NSAS and government should reform the police? Why don't you form political parties, take over government, and appoint the police yourself? So we need to take control. 3, we need to stop having problem with Nigeria. We have bad leadership in Nigeria, but the country is a decent, God-created country, and it's our heritage. And I've lived abroad, I've lived in many countries. I've discovered that Nigeria is only God's gift that we have. So I don't want you to say you want to japa, you want to do this. So the conclusion is that you will seize control of your country. And that's my contribution. That's why I'm running for office.
Thank you very much. Let me quickly invite Professor Chris Emumole of the Accord Party to please join them on the stage. You're welcome. Thank you very much for honoring the Nigerian youth presidential debate. We will just quickly ask you to introduce yourself as you want to be known, rather than us describing you or as the media has been describing you, in 2 minutes, please.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to apologize for coming late. Let me stand. For coming late, I want to apologize. Today has been a very busy period for all of us. And again, I want to appreciate the Diamond Group, the Nigerian Youth Side, for putting up this for us. It's not been easy, but I know that God is your strength. And quickly, my name is Professor Christopher Emumole. I'm an academician. I have my background from the educational sector. I've also briefly worked in the oil and gas sector. I have served as technical advisor to some few governments on oil and gas and evaluation monitoring. One of them is Akwa Ibom State. I've also presided on the Onshore Offshore Oil and Gas Association of Nigeria, Oil and Gas. Over the years, I've built institutions. One of them is universities. I am proud to own a couple of universities in different parts of the world. And my passion has always been about developing Nigerians and ensuring that Africans at large have education. I believe that education still remains one of the key to building our minds as Africans and
thank you.
Becoming proud of who we are.
Thank you very much. It's the timer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now, let me quickly go on a subject conversation with you in the sense that you talk about education, academics, that's your background. How will you rate the Nigerian educational system? And you've been a presidential candidate. What makes you the candidate that will probably change if there's a defect in the educational system of the country?
Okay, quickly.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay, Nigerian education is very poor. That is, we need to just go straight to it. I have worked and served in various capacities to even advise the government before now on what we could do in improving our education. We live in a country where over 20 million Nigerians are out of school. We live in a country where ASU resumed some few months ago, and the Nigerian students are writing an exam this month, like barely 1 month plus 2 weeks. Education is not about certificates. It's about building the mind of your citizen to solve local problems first before talking about global problems. If Nigerians are not educated to thinking how to solve our problems, then we go nowhere. So we have a very bad educational system, and that is largely because of those that manage our economy. Now, when you have people who do not have value for a particular thing, then we believe that education becomes too expensive. Today, we budget about 7.5% of our national budget on education, a sector that is very important to our growth as a nation. The UNESCO benchmark alone is about 10%. I've said it most of the time that our government, Accord Party, and Professor Chris will be giving education a focal point, budgeting nothing less than 20%. We believe that we must invest in formal education, non-formal, informal education. States like Zamfara, schools have been shut down for like 3 years. What is the future of our children? State like Sokoto, recent report, only one student enrolled for WAEC in the whole state.
Thank you very much.
What is the future? So we have a very bad education and we are going to work on it.
Thank you very much. Let's quickly move to our SDP candidate. As your colleague just mentioned, 7.5% allocated to education. UNESCO talk about 10%. If you become the president, what percentage will you allocate and why?
I would not deal with percentage problem, because even when you allocate 30%, maybe 2% will reach them. So it's not a nominal thing. It's not about numbers. Because if you say you increase, if you look at sectors where we have increased allocation, the sector gets worse. The first thing about education is to go back to what we did right. There was a time in this country where government schools were in minority. Most schools were missionary schools, and the quality improved a lot. The primary school that I went to was established by my community before Nigeria was created at all. There was no Nigeria. 30, 40 years after my school had been running before the British established Nigeria. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that the federal government and the state government allow for the economy to run well and allow for communities to have empowerment. In America, communities run their schools. It is not the government's job to run schools. What the government needs to do is to set educational targets. When you set educational targets, you will now invest in schools by making sure that you take every kid out of school. When Adewole did his free education, many of the children were sent to schools run by missionaries. So I don't want us to go into the area of percentage or anything. We have to restructure. And in modern times, education has gone virtual. So that way, you can expand the scope without busting the budget.
Thank you very much. National Rescue Movement. We talk about education. You had your other colleague in the presidential race, Share. He talks about percentage, and SDP not too concerned about percentage, but maybe another option as a presidential candidate.
But thank you so much.
How will you rescue the educational
Yes, I'm not going to talk about percentage, just like he also said. Reason being that even if you are going to allocate 40%, 50%, Nigeria is so corrupt that in the end, we're still going to be where we are. Well, a few years back, there was so much confusion and corruption in NNPC. Jonathan was the president then. But to some extent, he did a good job. To some extent. I'm aware that he actually got some consultants within and outside the country to look into the problem or the corruption in NNPC and report back to him so that he will have a solution and you will know what to do. Now, our education in Nigeria today is extremely poor, horrible. And so we're not just talking about percentage because all our systems in Nigeria, our educational system is very corrupt. So what I would do as the president of Nigeria is to get some consultants within and outside the country, especially, like my brother rightly said, I've been in the US for about 30 years. I know how it's been done there. In your own local government, you have your own school, you run it independently, state level, federal level, but here we tend to control everything. So I will get consultants who will advise me on what to do so that this problem of strike, like my brother rightly said, ASU and the federal government, they will have a permanent solution to it. So it doesn't really matter what percentage you allocate, you're still going to continue to have the problem.
Thank you.
Once you get the consultant, you will advise rightly and we'll do the right thing.
Thank you. We move to the African National Congress. Mr. Sowore, you have been noted to have taught in university environment. And looking at what you mentioned earlier as well, that you have been there with the student union and all the activism to do with student empowerment, do you still feel you have the energy to direct and empower the Nigerian student? Take into account as well that just like the other professor mentioned, that they just came back from a long-time strike. Under your government, will there be any strike?
Oh. You hear me? All right. There won't be any strikes because as far back as the early 90s, student leaders in this country, we gathered together and decided on the way forward for the educational sector. We had a series of meetings where we settled on what we call ACAREF, academic reforms. And that's, ASU itself had an input in this conversation, and a document was produced under the military. And we said they should invest in education. As at 1993, ASU was asking for 3 billion naira. In 1990, Nigeria had what they call a Gulf windfall, because there was a Gulf War, at that time. And what our leaders did was to sit down and squander the money. $12 billion was what was stolen by Babangida during that period. A committee he set up indicted him. We could have just given $3 billion to ASU, and I mean 3 billion naira to ASU, and we'll be doing well. They went ahead again and took loans from the World Bank. When the loans got to the university, instead of building laboratories and libraries, the university started building walls around the hostels. The hostels were rotten. I was a hostel executive at that time at the University of Lagos. What I'm trying to say to you is that investment in education is not just enough, but you must ask yourself, what are you investing? In my own case, I'm investing in access and quality. And this cannot be done at the behest of profiteers. Education is the kind of thing that you invest in. Most US schools that people talk about today are run as not-for-profit schools. The state government, local government invest in them because education is important to them. We have 20 million, please let me just quickly finish here. We have 20 million kids to take out of the streets. We have 1.7 million students in our universities. We have almost 5-point-something million secondary school students in Nigeria. We don't have enough classrooms. As a lecturer, one of the major things you must do in the US, I just want to finish here, is that the class size is one of the most important things. But I cannot have more than 14 students in a classroom. In a university in Nigeria, you can have 200 students. 30 of them sitting, 500 standing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching and witnessing and participating in the Nigerian Youth Presidential Debate. On stage, we have AAC, Mr. Shore. We have National Rescue Mission Movement. We have the SDP, and we have the Accord Party here with us. Please, may we appreciate them once again. Now, apart from that, we have all these presidential candidates that have never really held any position in Nigerian government. Am I right?
Well, you run independent. Holding a political position doesn't mean that you are part of people stealing Nigeria's money. I've been holding a position on how to improve Nigeria since I was 18 years old. It is not a public office, but it is an office as the office of the citizen, which is the most important office in Nigeria.
Thank you. So I will use that to probe you or to dig deep into your administration and office. None of them can we really accept what they have done while in office. But one thing that we can definitely take you on is the issue of the Nigerian economy. Some people are talking from consumption to production. Some people are talking about productivity. Some people are talking about foreign investment as a choice destination. All four of you seem to have shown to the Nigerian people that you're passionate about your country, Nigeria. Mr. Shawari, foreign direct investment, the diaspora remittances, how will you enhance that and how will you, if elected, actually drive in more investment? And do you really need foreign investment, or do you need your Nigerian citizens in your country to invest more within Nigeria? And this question goes to each and every one of you. Thank you.
You have to create an objective space for people to invest in Nigeria. What they call foreign direct investment today, I can almost tell you, is a scam.
a short-term investment by loan sharks, who are selling bonds. And when you hear that the Nigerian bond has been oversubscribed, you should weep for yourself, because the people who are buying the bonds are looking for short-term investments, returns on investment. And they know that Nigeria is a good place for it because Nigeria has bad credit. Do you know what it takes when you have a credit card and you don't pay back on time? Your interest rate goes up. That is what they do with, foreign direct investments here. They come to our stock markets, they invest in it, and they do insider dealings, and then they crash the market and walk away with billions, and then nobody talks about all this. But I know this because I'm an investigative reporter. So foreign direct investment you need is to create a country where people are even willing to come to and invest in the first place. There's nobody that is coming to invest in your country without first of all checking on the conditions of your country, checking with their embassy, and knowing that you can go to the country and travel from the airport to your hotel without getting abducted. So we're hearing all these very interesting stories about how our foreign direct investment has increased. I know it's a lie because we lie with statistics over it. But let me say very quickly, which is important, that with the population of Nigeria, just like China and India, and what they did to attract back their diaspora communities, Nigeria's GDP can grow dramatically. Well, how do you do it? You have to invest in those things that will make people come back to Nigeria, particularly power, energy, security, provide educational institutions that people who are coming from abroad can send their children to. That's what India did first, and that's why we're spending billions of dollars in medical tourism to India. So they were spending billions of dollars to go to school in Ghana. We're spending billions of dollars to do things that we can do for ourselves in our country. Even our president, the president of Nigeria, doesn't go to the hospital in Nigeria because the actual rock clinic that was built for him, he doesn't invest in it. When you invest in it, it's still the money. So you must have a country that works, and you can just sit back and watch how investment pouring into that country, particularly from the diaspora.
30 seconds more.
Thank you.
30 seconds more.
All right. So the diaspora you need are also like foreigners. The moment you travel for a while in this country, you also want to come to a country that works. But ask yourself, which person is coming back to Nigeria when the US government is evacuating their staff? You understand? Who's going to come? But if you come home every December or anytime, there's nobody that comes to this country with less than $5,000 from the diaspora. They spend it here, you retain it here. But if you don't have a country you can come back to, you lose that opportunity.
Thank you very much. National Rescue Movement.
Well, thank you very much. When we talk about foreign investment, I think we have to look more to see if any foreigner will ever want to come to Nigeria. That's now, how do I mean? Whether we believe it or not, today Nigeria is at war. There is war going on in this country. And these are some of the things we need to look into. So in the way we're talking about insecurity, in fact, as a Nigerian, not everyone is comfortable investing even in Nigeria. And I am in Nigeria. So rather, some people will go to Ghana and invest there. In a country whereby nothing is working, no electricity, in fact, we don't have a clean water, insecurity everywhere. Well, what do you want to invest? And more importantly, before now, it's amazing that with all due respect, some of the presidential candidates have listened to them and their manifesto so well. And I hear more, especially our youth, rejoicing, clapping for them. But if you listen to them very well and analyze what they are saying, some of them are just an historian. How do I mean? They will tell you what happened in 1920, in 1910, in 1807, all the way to what is happening in Nigeria today. But none of them have been able to offer us a single solution of how they're going to do it. Some of them are like someone who read a literature book and not telling everybody, this book I read, this is what is in there. Unfortunately, they cannot remove and they cannot add. So majority of many of them are not even talking about the solution. So I think the first thing we need to do is to find solution to the problem we are having in Nigeria today. Now again, foreigners, why would they come and invest in Nigeria? Both our leaders and majority of them from NNPC, they are thieves, for example. Our oil, please a minute, let me address this. Our oil has had other presidential candidates say, oh, our oil, they will come and steal our oil. So how are you going to stop it? And who are those stealing the oil? Who are those in Nigeria that stepping them to steal the oil? Who are those that will allow them to bring their vessel to 20 nautical miles to 15 nautical miles, either by TTT or GTO, to steal our oil, and yet nothing is done about it? So why would they come and invest here when Nigeria is open up for anyone who want to steal our oil or our gold and diamond?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Dr. Anthony, please.
Okay. You see, economics has its own discipline and does not obey code. So 2 plus 2 will always be 4. So number 1, foreign direct investment is one half of investment. You have foreign portfolio investment. So they are subject to investment of an investment law. The first thing in investment is called equity. Even if you go to a bank and you want to buy a bicycle, they will say, how much do you have in your hand? You deposit first. A country like Nigeria does not look for foreign investment. You must first do your domestic investment right. And the largest collector of money in Nigeria is the government. So if the government is earning $40 billion and wasting it away, and is looking for a foreign investor to bring $200 million, does not make any sense at all. So you first invest the money that you have. So if we invest the money that we have, then foreigners will see that they can make profit. So they will come to some subset of it. We have had 3 generations of foreign investment in Nigeria. There was one that came with the colonial people, the Olibans, the UAC, and all of them. The second set came during the time of Gawan, when Adewole and co were government, Seju was in charge of industries, and they come up with a policy.
That is going
Ready?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so the long and short of what I want to let you know is that you must invest your money and then stop listening to economic literature. Anybody who tells you that you should go from consumption to production doesn't know economics. Economics is a cycle. You must produce, you must consume. And what you can do is to have consumption and production within the country. That's the first start for you. But you can't say no consumption. I'm always going to buy what you put.
Thank you very much. Now, Professor Chris, please.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to agree with what every other president have said. So, what they've all said is actually what will drive our economy forward. And for me, I wouldn't want to repeat some of what they have said. I only say, adding up to what they've said, is first, we must begin to run a data economy. Nigeria do not have data. If you want investors to come in, they must know what is happening in each industries to be able to come in and invest. So we've said this, we've worked with diasporans, we've discussed with them, and that is one of the biggest problems. We need to start running a data economy. And when I become the president of Nigeria, one of the very first executive order I will be given is to digitalize all the MDAs, the ministries, the departments, and the agencies of Nigeria. We must begin to run a digital economy. We cannot find ourselves in the 21st century and we are still running analog. But that one of my company still have a letter in foreign affairs, a letter sent from abroad to verify, and it's still there for 6 months, just for them to verify a letter. You can see. So we cannot move an economy when we run our economy analogly. So we must begin to look at that. Secondly is government must only be responsible in ensuring that they create an environment for business to run. I don't see any reason why government should be doing business. Government don't know business. Let the private sector drive the economy. Today, some governors are claiming glory of Lagos. Nobody developed Lagos. Lagos is a state that is developed by the genuinity of private individuals who have come together to run business in the city. So no government can say, I developed Lagos. The mayor of New York cannot take the glory of New York or London or Paris. So we must begin to ensure that we create policies that will drive businesses. Thirdly, what we must do, we must look at issues of power, infrastructural deficit, security, education of our people. There was a time we were about setting up an oil and gas company in Louisiana, and we asked the mayor of Louisiana, who are the people that are going to work here? They said the student of the University of Louisiana would work. Imagine in Nigeria, we still need Nigerians to become drivers who can work with investors. You need investors. The people of Nigeria must be ready to drive the business. we still lack that. A lot of people, the issue of economy, I believe it was 2 hours to talk about it, so that we can go into it and share more on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to move a little bit because now we're going to go into the second phase of the conversation. And the second phase basically is going to be on the national issues, and whereby each of the presidential candidates will tell the Nigerian people what they believe. And I want to face you in order to pick 1 or 2 questions from the audience. So I'm going to join you there. But as we are all talking, these are our 4 presidential candidates. 2 of them are absolutely new. 2 have been in the terrain for some time. And in life, we have to calculate how many times we want to try something in order for us to achieve it. So I'm going to be between the Prince and the rescue movement. And basically, the first question would go to Prof. Chris. The present government of Nigeria is under the APC, and there are other political parties that are aiming to be there in the 2023 election. What do you think is wrong with APC that you want to become the president under your own party rather than under APC?
Okay, simply put, 2 reasons. 1, I believe that, especially for the position of presidency, I believe the man that will solve our enormous problem is that president that is not affiliated to the set of those that cause our problem. It's not going to be easy for a president who is a friend of those who cause our problem. That is why when the present administration came in, they thought that a particular governor in Lagos was going to become their joker, and they made him a super minister because of what they thought he achieved in Lagos. But you know why he did not perform? Because he's just a puppet. So he would have solved the problem, but he's there to represent some interest. So he cannot solve. So the man that will solve our problem is that presidential candidate that is not affiliated, that is not a friend to those that cause the problem. Number 2, this program is Youth Decide. And there's a question you asked, which I was not privileged to ask this. How will I involve youth? Sorry, I'll go there. I'm a youth myself. And I think you said by Nigerian definition that the youth is 50. I don't know which dictionary it is. I still believe that I'm the only youth in the race. I still believe, because I'm 39, and I believe I'm the only youth in this race. So if this is Nigerian Youth Decide, then the youth should decide for the youth. When I become the president, naturally, youth will be engaged in government. You check it out. If you're a CEO of a company, 60% of those that work for you probably might be younger than you because you feel comfortable. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have those who are natural. So if the youth is looking for a candidate, I think Professor Chris should be the candidate. Then going back to that question, please. Secondly, I also believe that it is in the mandate of our generation to change the narrative for this country. The older generation, we shouldn't be having presidents 80-something years, 70 years. No. I believe that Nigeria needs an aggressive development, and such development can only be chaired by men of this generation seated here. I belong to that generation.
Thank you very much. To LPT Prince Adewole, among the political parties, he is one that has been in office before, and now they're one of the major opposition parties. And based on people's assumption, this party is making a lot of noise or inward contribution to be in office in 2023. Why do you think that party shouldn't be given the chance and SDP should be given the chance?
Well, basically, I have a difficulty recognizing the difference between APC and PDP. Because if you are watching one TV channel, the person who announced just now as APC member, by the time you change channel to another TV, that person is also APC member. And by tomorrow morning, you are expected back to the first place. So it's a waste of time. They are just friends who do business in no politics. My problem with the APC and PDP is that deep down, they don't want to run the government. They just want to make money. All these things don't make a difference. So if somebody is a governor today, you make him senator tomorrow, you will take it. You make him commissioner, I will take it. You make him advisor. They're just looking for ways by which government will continue to pay their. The problem you have there is that governments actually have services to run. So you must keep the country running. You must run security services, run education, and they're not interested in running health. Second point is that we're a diverse country. So you need to make sure that your people don't hit one another. You have different religions, different ethnicities, different age groups, different gender. So you need a unifying party that mobilizes Nigeria towards attacking problems that we have. Poverty, underdevelopment, bad roads, poor education. But what they are doing, what they did in 1999, is just dividing the people more, causing confusion. So when I came in here, I realized that these people cannot be helped. I've tried to help them. I've advised them in many ways, writing memos, talking to them. I came to the conclusion that one, they don't know, they don't want to go, and they are enjoying the crisis. And if Boko Haram enter Abuja, some of them will form partnership with Boko Haram to supply things. All they want is just to make money. And that is why I think we should just let them rest. And when we run the economy well, they will feed well. This money is what they want.
Thank you very much. So the rescue movement, how sure are you that the national rescue movement can actually rescue Nigerians from these other political parties? If you actually too believe that these other political parties cannot rescue Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much. A short story. About 4 years ago, we all seated here. And then I was table. Wine, mobs, name it. And the audience, 90% of them are youths. As a matter of fact, one of the deputy Senate presidents was with us. And by the time he grabbed the microphone, we are the one drinking more juice and wine with some cookies. Why all they offered them was ordinary pure water? And the then deputy Senate president made a statement. And I immediately disagreed with him. He said, youths, you are wonderful. In fact, don't worry, you are the one at the high table. We are not the one. And here we are taking malt, juice, and cooking, and they are being offered ordinary pure water. And the youth clapped. They were happy because somebody was seated here deceiving them. So when it was my turn to speak, I said, I quite disagree, with all due respect, Your Honor. For how long are we going to continue to deceive our youth in Nigeria? We are the one taking water and juice. We are the high table. The poor children that manage to come here taking pure water, you are telling them that they are the one at the high table, deceiving them, trying to brainwash them. I think that is the problem we're having today. One, I have no problem with APC. I have no problem with PDP. I have no problem with the Labour Party. Because put all three of them together, they are PDP. It's just a change of name. So I have no problem with the party. But I have problem with individuals that says they have what it takes to move this nation forward. For example, and I will just with all due respect, I have to say this. The man or the one who is the presidential candidate of APC today, for 7.5 years, he happens to be the national leader of APC who traveled all over the place, all the way to the local government, telling Nigerians that once they get there, I can assure you, we can assure all of us, especially our youth, there will be free food, you will have job. If we don't do it, I want people to stone us. 7 years and a half after, nothing has done. They did nothing about it, and now they are out again, telling us that don't worry, this time around we're going to do it right. So now who is fooling who? Now, please, just for a second. I think the problem we are facing in Nigeria is very simple. Before now, you know, I love this, my brother, I love everybody here. This, my brother, Shore here, fought with his life for the liberation of this country, the more important one. Okay? So I'm not giving any credit, but I'm only saying this is what I thought. Why has he done that? I'm sorry, just a second, forgive me. The problem we have in this country is that before now we have leaders. And that leaders, you can also call them dictators. We have never had a parent as the president of Nigeria. A leader who is a dictator does not really care what happens in your life. But a parent knows exactly what happened in his house. A parent will be able to unite his own children. Why a leader who is a dictator doesn't care if you want to go to the left, you want to
Thank you very much. The rescue mission, Let's quickly go to AA. You have been in the news with all the political parties. There has been a noise about collaboration. Is your collaboration to strengthen the position of your own political party? I will believe that, of course, you have seen that there's something wrong with the existing political party in office. Why do you think your collaboration is important?
Well, let me quickly react to Professor Chris, who was defining youth. By United Nations standard, you are a grandfather. The youths are 25 and below. But you see, I like one that happened. Anybody in my view who has a fresh idea, fresh blood, a fresh attitude to how to govern this country, in my view, is a youth. But if you want to know who is the youth between me and you, let's go and do a 10 kilometers tomorrow morning, and I'll talk to you. But that's on the side. One thing we must know about our own party is that I'm probably the only candidate who founded my own party, or we founded our own party, and you know about it in 2018. And our position is that we are a revolutionary party and we are not apologetic about it. When we were campaigning in 2018, they knew that our message was very strong, but there's nothing they could do about us. As soon as the conversation was over with the elections, they looked for me, grabbed me, and sent me to detention for 5 months, with the hope of punishing me for bringing an idea that was totally alien to Nigeria. And the only organization that we are partnering with now, or collaborating with, is the PRP. PRP is the People Redemption Party, one of the oldest political parties in Nigeria. So ideologically, we are the closest in terms of revolutionary thinking. Part of the problem with political parties in Nigeria is that a lot of the political parties don't have any ideological base. You know, they are what we call, there's something they call after the war, rub bumbo. You rub my back, I rub your back. Like Prince said, this is the only country in the world where somebody will go to sleep as PDP, tomorrow morning he wakes up, is APC. The next day he wakes up, is in the Labour Party. If he can't get into APC and PDP, then he goes to the orphanage they call Labour Party. That's the place for internally displaced politicians in Nigeria. What I'm saying to you is that we are different. And our differences are irreconcilable differences with the existing political system and political parties. And also, in 2018, we went into a conversation with young presidential candidates. When we got there, young presidential candidates in Nigeria were rigging election of 18 people right in front of us. I said to them, I was the first person to leave the place. I said, look, these guys are not interested in collaboration because they already made up their mind who they will become their presidential candidate. They're not open-minded. And ask me today, is there any of the candidates of 2018 still around, aside from myself? I didn't know you ran in 2018, by the way. All right. So, and I'm the only one who was in that room where we were trying to march together, who is still running today. The rest of them just disappeared because they couldn't take the heat needed. The last thing I will say is, and this is for young people. Young people in Nigeria are going through a phase of revolutionary confusion. I've never seen it before. That you will do NSAS and then go and support, according to them, go and support a political candidate who is like a sheep leading lions.
Thank you.
Have you ever heard that before? It's better for one lion to be leading a head of sheep than for a head of lions to be school of lions.
Thank you very much.
To be led by a sheep. That is revolutionary confusion.
Thank you very much. But coming back to your side, in one of our last 3 questions that are coming before we quickly take off from the audience, is the issue of security or insecurity. The youth of the country who are the future leaders or entrepreneurs, enterprise of the country, have an issue of security or insecurity. What is your observation and what comment would you like to share in the direction of providing a stronger security system for the country and to remove insecurity from many regions?
So this is where there's a difference between leaders and dealers. Nigeria has been governed by dealers. And when you have dealers running your country, they will go and look for any deal, whether it's in terrorist citizenship or not, they don't care. Security, as we know it in Nigeria, is a business. We spent the bill with there was a time they said they went and borrowed $1 billion to buy equipment. I think it's 2 years ago. I've never met a gun that is new with our security agency. And I'm serious. I get arrested very regularly. I get beaten up very regularly. I go to jail regularly in this Abuja. Nothing new. No new ideas, no new concepts, because it is a money-making venture for them. But let's understand security from the point of what is security. Our leaders feel like security is all about protecting VIPs and beating up people who are against the government. They don't understand that there are a variety of components to security. And it's one fails that another one becomes complicated. And the one that has failed totally in our own country is human security, which is economic security, social security for people that are working, some kind of cyber security, homeland security. Ask any of the leaders who will never come to this debate. Do they understand what security means? They don't. They just understand that security is about carrying AK-47 and shooting at anybody that goes near the vehicle of the leader of the country. That is not security. In fact, that is not any kind of security that we should consider. But one last thing I want to say, because I might also need to take a break when you break here, is this, and we must understand it. Nigeria is not getting out of this security anytime soon. If you keep voting for people who cause insecurity, it's just like setting up a nice house, a nice street, and you appoint a chief to be your night guard. You are going to always have problems. That's the problem with Nigeria.
Thank you very much. The rescue movement.
Well, thank you so much. God willing, that I'm the next president of Nigeria in 2023. The issue of security is not something you can download or answer all the questions in a hurry. Well, however, there are a few things that I really want to, or every of the audience to listen to me and hear me very well. As someone told me this afternoon, he says, we need to reform police, military, in Russia, so that the issues of security in Nigeria becomes a thing of the past. I said, then you're my boy. He said, why? I said, if we're having armed robbers or thieves who enter somebody's house and steal their soup or few money and threaten them with knife and say, don't give me your money or inside move away. And then you're talking about, okay, if police doesn't know how to do it, we can easily train them again to know how to catch thieves. We're talking about terrorism in Nigeria, which unfortunately, we believe Nigerians, we all know that some of the terrorists in Nigeria today are not even Nigerians. And so how do you tackle that in our body? How do you let them go in our body? Now the question is this again, where are our leaders with all the money that they gave to the security experts in Nigeria, according to them, to fight security so that you can go to your home or travel and be at peace, believing that as you are going, you are coming back. Today, if anyone is going out, you are afraid whether you are coming back or not. So the problem is this. I feel there are two things we should do. Number one of the major problems we are having when it comes to issues of security is for the federal government, even the state governments, not recognizing the traditional rulers. Not only the traditional rulers, the youths and the local governments, the women leaders. Today, unfortunately, the federal government or the state government, even the government, can get up tomorrow and say, this Emmy, I don't like your face again, you will never be any idea.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Unfortunately, we cannot download all the visions we have here. So it's my time is up. In due time, we'll be explaining all this.
Thank you very much. That's very nice. Yes, we look to Deputy Prince Adewole in the Senate.
Well, security is the primary duty of government. So if the government has difficulty keeping you secure, that's the first sign that it's not a government. But I'm familiar with the Nigerian government system. I know these people very well. They know how to do security. That's why the president is not missing. That's why the DP is not missing. That's why the commissioner, the ministers are one of them. So they know how to keep themselves secure. And if you talk with them and you run away to Kenya, they know how to bring you back. They know how to get you there, even though it changes the dresses and jump up and down, but they will know how to get you. So they know what to do. There are three reasons why our security system is not working. One is that it's a money-making venture, and they develop an unaccountable system to make money. So if you see all the people in security, they are making a lot of money that their salary cannot dream of. So they assume that that is enough for them. Second reason why we have insecurity in the country is that the country, they don't have the mental energy to govern the country. Nigeria has ungoverned spaces all over. About 2 weeks ago, I was in the former Boko Haram headquarters in Mubi. I sat down in the headquarters of Boko Haram there. I was sitting with them, talking. And from Madagali to Mubi, down to even as far down as Numa. I didn't see any sign of security there. So it just maybe Boko Haram is tired of coming to that area. But when I was in Mubi, I was like 60 kilometers away from where there was warfare. In my understanding of perimeter management, I didn't see Nigeria even giving themselves backup. So I know that they don't want to cover those places. The third issue is security is that you must have happy people. You must learn to keep your people engaged, busy, and happy. That's where you can have national security. So the criminality that we have on the street, combined with the criminality inside the villa. I keep saying to people, the headquarters of Boko Haram is in the villa, where Buhari is. That's why they do all their discussion. So if you elect a new president who is not part of those using security money to do election, who cares for the people? I can tell you categorically, people in Katsina know that Muhammadu Buhari from Katsina is not from Katsina. He's now from London. He doesn't care. So what you need is a caring government. And lastly, you need to reprioritize our national assets. These people you say are foreigners, they're not foreigners. No foreigners that come to Nigeria without permission. What they are doing is that they want to cover their track. So if you come to hire terrorists or go to Onitsha or go to Benue, they will know. So they go outside to neighboring countries to recruit people whom you cannot trace. So it's not as if foreigners are invading Nigeria. So when you elect a new government that is not making money out of security, you'll be secure. I can guarantee you that.
Thank you very much. Professor Chris, please.
Okay, I'll be very brief. I think what's important, I know that we have a total systemic failure, especially when it comes to security in Nigeria, and a lot of factors. One is a nation that is housing 133 million people living under poverty cannot be secured. Just like having 6 children who are hungry, and you have a pot of rice, and you ask them not to go take the food. So we must seriously and aggressively work on our economic policy to get Nigeria quickly out of poverty. We need to create more jobs for the youth and get them engaged. Start looking at what West India is doing in technology. I still believe that technology space has a lot to offer to Nigerian youths. We are very ICT savvy when it comes to our youths, and we can actually make so much money by lifting Nigeria quickly from that. And again, we must invest in technology. We cannot supervise security with human intelligence. The world has gotten to a place where artificial intelligence are being invested into. Because for crime to happen, 2 things must happen. One is the opportunity to commit crime, and 2 is the desire to commit crime. It's only God that stops a man who desires to commit crime to stop committing crime. But it's the job of the government to ensure that the opportunity for crime to happen is covered. So I will need to get intelligence before crime happens. That can only be done when you invest hugely in technology, we should be monitored. We should be seen. Our satellite is not functioning. I spoke to one of the directors in NICOMSAT. Said one of them, I think in an interview, said one of the satellites up there has expired, but it's only the grace of God that kept it there. You know, we still pay Chinese to get information. Our senators are still using Globacom. The president is using MTN. In a world that information security is what we are combating on, the country must begin to invest in its own data system to cover. It's very, very serious. We've not, to me, intentionally build a nation that is concerned about security. And our borderline is very porous. Are you aware that 1,400 of our borderline are unguided? Since 1960, we've been able to only guide 84 of the borderline. Nigerians cannot even identify Nigerians. Our passport can be taken by anybody. You know, we need a system. We need to build Nigeria.
Thank you.
To secure our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, please let's appreciate this presidential candidate. Now we're going to take a few questions from the stage. So I'm going to take. I want to mix it up. So the person in the middle, please. Yeah. So you're asking a question on that section. Yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much. My name is Barry Abotu Johnson. I'm the national chairman of Nigeria Youth Democratic Party, that political party that gained international relevance during the NSAS period. Actually, I'd like to say that the reason why I came here was to do three things. And the first one is to look into the eyes of the thief Nubu and their thief group and the Peter Obi, and let them know that they have no capacity to contest these elections, not because of the backing of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, but the backing of the influence of the Nigerian people. We don't want them because they are part and parcel of failure. That is one. If you agree, say aye. Aye. It means it is done.
Sorry, I'm the moderator, so now you have lost your chance of asking the question.
Sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much, President. Can we go to that corner? The gentleman in the front. Yes, please. I hope it's a question.
Yeah, it's a question. Okay. Straight to maybe Professor Grace, because inclined to technology. My question is, before I ask my question, my name is Rabi Abdulhamid. I'm an advocate of social justice, and that's all. So my question is straight to you about the technology, modern technology. And as you can see, most of the youth in the country are into blockchain and digital economy. They are trying to, earn something into their pockets, independently, not from the government. But on recent, that was last year, government that through the CBN fiscal and monetary policy came with a ban, outright ban on blockchain that is illegal. And recently again, they now came to say that it's in their budget to tax this industry. So it becomes laughable to me that how can government that is not in support of empowering the youth to make something out of maybe a global market.
Thank you. Please, Prof, you got his question, right?
Yes, you are coming to tax it today. So
thank you very much.
So please, when you win as the president of the country, what kind of policy will you implement that will boost this sector so that the youth can see some things to do instead of staying jobless?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is that a lady on the other side? Okay, the lady, please. And
This is the name of former presidential candidate, Mass Action Joint Alliance 2019. And my question to the presidential candidate here today is, when will our candidates be able to put themselves together? I'm trying to see this platform now with the open space, with Haj Atiku there, with that open space with Mr. Obi there, where Alista is sitting. I'm trying to see Asiwaju Tinubu there. And I'm looking forward to a time when all of them will think to give us a unity government. I think Nigeria is in a mess. In 2019, I did an article saying, give power to the woman, and a woman is going to make everybody to work. I was promising Nigeria a unity government. I'm thinking of a time when the cream of brains that we have on this stage tonight will be able to liaise with the other elderly team and give us a unity government. Is it possible?
Thank you very much.
We need to make this nation work for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let me quickly come back to the stage. Professor Chris, before you answer, let me start with the shower if you have taken the break.
Yes.
Basically, will you support a unity government?
Well, the truth is that the major political parties are united. They always have a unity government. If you remember that when Buhari came, it took him almost 2 years to constitute the board. In fact, by the time he constituted the board, some of the people that he appointed had died. Because they continued the PDP unity government after he left. Even later on, in their unity government, they appointed Jonathan to become one of his roving ambassadors, resolving West African countries. That's unity government. So the unity government you're asking for is for us, young people here who are clear-headed, to unite with the kids. I cannot do that. And what has happened with organizing this? You have resolved the problem of the fresh and the old. If you want to finish them, as you have done tonight, just make the presidential town hall meeting past 7 p.m. They can't come. They're tired. They're sick. They're probably like taking their medicines as we speak. But we'll be here. Yes, we'll be here because we cannot continue to hide away from the parts of health in this conversation. I will be the first person to admit that nobody has control over health. A young person can die and an old person can last. As a matter of fact, what we've discovered about Nigeria is that the older and more dangerous you are, the longer you last in Nigeria. You know, look at Obasanjo, Babangida, people they die. You know, the Jarifa when means Fela, they died in their 50s. You know, the good guys die in Nigeria, the bad guys, they just live forever. Yes, I don't know because Nigeria rewards the bad and kills the good.
Thank you.
So, but the second aspect about technology, the answer is simple. You are not going to have a technologically developed country with analog brains leaders. All these things we are talking about, whether we allow Bitcoins, is simple. If Chris is the president of Nigeria, it's simple. If Prince is the president of Nigeria, it's simple. If he is the president of Nigeria, because they understand how this thing interacts. But you can never have a technologically driven economy with Tinubu. The man doesn't even know how to operate his phone, or with Atiku, you know, or even with Peter Obi, who doesn't run his Twitter account. I run my Twitter account. I'm sure that all of us on this stage, well, I don't know the Red Streaming movement, the presidential candidate too well, but I know that Prince runs his Twitter account. I run my Twitter account. All the errors, grammatical that you see there, hold me responsible for it. But I can guarantee you that Tinubu doesn't know how to tweet. You have to tweet from WhatsApp to Twitter. That's how you understand it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, National Rescue.
Well, I think I need to make it very simple. For me, the answer is yes. How do I make it? Now, today we're out here because we want to see new Nigeria. And like I said before, in your wardrobe, you have old clothes and you have new ones. And some of your old clothes, you don't want to use them, and at the same time, you want to throw them away, so they're in the wardrobe. So between the old clothes and the new clothes in your wardrobe, there's unity there, and there's no fight. How do I mean? These other persons that we consider the old politicians, I think they can sit back and advise the younger ones. For example, a father in his home will not say, because I'm old, there's no unity between me and my children. That is if he's a good father. So I believe that Nigeria can unite together, and either region or region we can as well unite together. So unity is possible there. But the only problem we are having with especially the ones we call Nigeria is because the program they have managed to that to the point that they will never bow to what we call an accountability. And that's what the problem we're having in Nigeria today. For example, I'm sorry I need to get a little bit. Look at our insecurity. I've been asking one simple questions. Who is the Minister of Interior? How come that the terrorists will go through our borders with AK-47 and nobody's asking to give account of it, what happened? In this country, there's no accountability. So it will be difficult for all of us here to truly unite with those ones who doesn't really care about what happens. But if they want to come on board as a father, truly we can unite together and work.
Thank you very much.
Well, the way our government is designed, our constitution, every government is a unity government. That is why you cannot become president without some plurality. You must win 25% in sufficient number of places. It's not that you use one vote to defeat your fellow person or the contestant you are the winner. No. So unity government means that you cannot form a government without first winning election majority of the states. Secondly, under our constitution, you cannot form a cabinet without bringing at least one person from every state. So it's designed. So unity is not the problem. But the unity of the police and the unity of the armed robbers is not the same. The armed robbers unite to rob and kill. The police are supposed to unite to catch the armed robbers. So now that is what they are trying to now organize the politics. That you now get armed robbers and police union to now form the amalgamated union of night operators. So you are conspiring against the people. So what I can tell you is that the people who are in this government, we talk to them. The APC people, PDP people, we talk to them. We meet them. We have come out with some 5 observations. One, I find that they are very lawless. Even when we went to sign peace accord, they went and stole the seat of Showe. The AAC, they went and signed on that on it because they want to see it for. They're very lawless. They have no respect for Nigeria, no respect for the institution. Second, they don't know what is going on. They don't know whether this is December or January. They are tired. We talk to them, they don't know what is going on. Even in their own campaign, they don't know what's going on. So they cannot run a government, except they come as national rulers or native doctors or something. But you can't give them work to do, they can't do it. So what is the use? The third is that they believe in power of money. They are buying people. They are buying media. So even when they are talking to you, they want to buy you. So they met with me 2 minutes, they are thinking of how they are going to give you money. So you know that these people have no conscience, they have no respect. So if you are a self-respecting person who can work for yourself, who know where you are going, they will be irritating you. The fourth point is that they don't love the country. So they have more partners overseas. So what they are planning is to carry your money and go to Dubai and to be agents of foreign companies and foreign movers. So we don't have the same objective. Lastly, they don't know anything about tomorrow. They are in their last days. So if they are talking of 25-year plan, they are like, no. So that is why, it's not why we hate them. But you can't ask a driver who has one car to carry somebody go to Sokoto and carry another person go to Calabar. That doesn't deliver 2 of them. Very difficult.
Thank you very much. And the last person to speak tonight is Professor Preston.
Okay. Quickly, let me start from the second question, the ICT question, the technology. Like Mr. Showe said, and you do not expect anything from a leader who do not understand process to implement. We, in our generation, understand what technology has done and what the impact of revolutionized Bitcoin and blockchain technology and the rest of them. You know, and look at what happened to Trump, the Nigerian guy in New York, who sold his stock to Apple for $1 billion. He's just a youth like you. $1 billion. Look at what Flutterwave is doing. The first financial institution that have crossed the $1 billion benchmark. Look at what Jackson, this guy that owns Iroko TV, look at what they are doing. These are youths who has built upon the power of ICT to grow their network. The CBN recent policy that reduces the amount of money you can catch for POS business. You know that they've already created huge deficits on that employment line. So many POS guys. I was talking to Ope, the Chinese guy. I said they already have close to about 1 million POS merchants. You can imagine what will happen to those guys. So many of them would not have that. So when we are making policy, we must look at deep technology, look at how it affects our economy. So for us, we understand it. I'm also an investor in those regions of invested youth. And for me, it's a good one. And the youth of Nigeria should be encouraged to understand it. And for me, I even believe that our secondary curriculum should start having Bitcoin technology, tech coding courses to build Nigerian youth to understand the future. You know, we're not talking about NFTs. We're not talking about people are now selling virtual real estate. You know, buy things online. Look at the Indian guy that bought the first NFT for $1 billion, sold one for $70 million. Things are happening all over the world. So we need leaders that understand that. Secondly, collaborating with some of these guys. No. But more importantly, we must begin to build a system in Nigeria. The biggest problem we have in Nigeria is not just about the people. It's because we don't have a system. No saint can work in Nigeria and remain saint with the kind of system we have. I'm telling you. Because there's a saying that says that a just man in an unjust society is a criminal. So we have lived too long in corruption as a nation that if Nigeria have an incorruptible leader, they will kill you. Because the secondary, the religious, every facet of our nation has dwelled for too long in corruption.
Thank you very much.
So we must begin to build a system, have a leader that is ready to build a system and strengthen our dysfunctional institution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But I'm going to quickly take you on your last point. You say, I almost quote you, to have an incorruptible leader, corruption from failure will kill him. Right? That's what you say.
Yes,
that's what you said.
Yes.
That's what you said. So why then do you want to be killed?
Listen, you don't. It's like this today. We're having a conversation today, and I was talking to my DJ. I said, if all the presidential candidates come together, all of us, it should not just presidential candidates, all the candidates, and I don't know, but I don't it cannot happen. But if God makes that happen, everybody comes together and say, all of us, we agree that, which of course we are doing, and I know many presidential candidates will be doing, that this particular election, let us go in and nobody should come out. Let Nigeria vote who they like. And the person said that Nigeria might not come out to vote. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. You might not get it, but many of the people here will understand it. What I mean is this. Since 1966, or even far more than that, for those that know the Nigerian history, we've been running a nation that have been drenched in corruption. In secondary school, primary school, and you are even let's talk about education.
Right, I'm going to bring you to educational point to stop it at that point. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to once again appreciate each and every one of you that spent time to have a conversation and to listen and to watch online of our 4 presidential candidates that were gracious to the Nigerian youth by participating in this National Youth Presidential Debate 2022 for 2023. On the last note, I would like Mr.
I've been lifting my hands up here. You say this line, but you have not called anybody here.
Are you sure I didn't call anybody?
You have not called anybody. You have not called anybody. On this line. On this line, I place on this line. At least this line.
So I'll just take one question from here. Right, your question, please. And it will be as other people have been getting.
Your Excellencies and very distinguished Nigerians, I'm Victor Moro. and the President of Justice Now International. I am looking forward to a situation where we will redefine democracy and allow the audience to play a critical role, because democracy means government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And in a situation where we have continuous traditional engagement like this, where out of 1 hour, 50 minutes is allocated to this, to the leaders here, and 5 minutes to the people that are coming with matters, then it becomes a big problem. Because ordinarily, you should listen to our problems.
And we go straight to the question.
That is the problem. That is what I am saying here, that we need to change the narratives of always giving all the hours to the.
Your question.
This is the contribution.
Okay,
it
so
might
it's
not
a
necessarily, it's an observation. And I want you to be patient.
No, we have a time. We have a time, and I must keep to the time.
I want us to understand that if we are having programs like this, basically and importantly, is to listen to the yearnings of the people. And as long as we have this tradition of not listening to the people, we will continue to do the biggest mistake.
Thank you very much.
And the last note is that I've been expecting the candidates here to dwell on one thing, to come up with one solution, which is the deterioration of moral values. And as long as there is no solution to cultural values, where a child comes with a phone and the parent don't ask the child, where did you get this phone? And it becomes the minister for communication, he will continue to loot. And so long you do not have a platform to restore lost values, I guarantee you there will be repetition of madness hearing thereafter. Thank you and God bless us.
Thank you very much. Your contribution is well noted. One thing I'll quickly add is that some of the questions that are generated by the moderator were submitted by Nigerians as well. So you are speaking on your own corner, and we are taking account of all the people making a presentation, and that's the beauty of our democracy. You have your choice, other people have their own choices as well. So thank you very much. Right, just one question for the gentleman on white and the lady in red, and that's it. Your question, please. The gentleman, yeah, and then the lady in red.
Thank you very much. My name is Abdurrahman Muhammad Daladi, precisely from AGOT party. I don't want to ask my presidential candidate because I know he knows the answer and they are waiting president. My question goes to Social Democratic Party, SDP, and it's all about education. Sir, if you are elected into the presidency or in the next election, what are you going to do to end this stupid ASO strike?
Thank you very much. What is he going to do to end it? Thank you. I think that question was already answered. Right, the lady in red, so that we can conclude on this part.
This is a general question. And we've heard you say a lot of things about what you're going to do when elected into office. My question is, what are the modalities you have in place for continuity? How do you intend to continue this thing? Or does it phase out with you when you leave office? And then the second question is, now we know the civil service is corrupt. What if you come into office and you're told, sir, this is not how it's done, or that this is how we have been doing it? What will you do? What do you intend to do to curb that corruption?
Thank you very much. Right. Pro, 1 minute, please.
Okay, it's like I said, we have a dysfunctional system in Nigeria. And if you look at our manifesto, the very first among the most important thing we listed is to ensure that we systemize the economy. And I said here in my first statement that one of the very first executive order I will be given as a president is to make sure that all the MDAs and the 3 tiers of government revolutionize the operation digitally. Once you do that, you begin to strengthen a system, and you have a system that cannot be infiltrated by people. Let's look at organization. If you begin to run an organization and you run it manually, what you have encouraged is huge corruption. But once you start, that is, look at the issue of the beavers. The beavers, we are all happy about the beavers, and we pray, we hope it works. What has happened there is the technology has been introduced into the system. Hence, corruption will be reduced. So that is very key. We need to begin to look at systematizing our economy and all the operations we do. Then secondly, the issue of ASU strike. Said the question is not directed to me, so I'll leave it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks.
Well, let's start with ASU strike. The simple way to stop ASU strike is to look at what ASU has been complaining about and remove them. What are the three things? ASU talks about the way they manage the money. ASU is not supposed to be involved in asking for money. It is not university lecturers who should tell the government councils how to maintain their school. It's because of failure of the government council. And the failure of the government council is because the government is controlling the school in such a way that they're like parastatals of the Ministry of Education. And those who give money to the politicians tend to go and sit on top of it. I've given enough talk on ASU already to read that I will make education funding independent of the government. I'll give autonomy to the university. So that will stop it. And then I give them autonomy, and then we'll make investment in the university the way they should be done. Now, the issue of how do you institutionalize them to make them endure, that's what we call leadership. You must be able to have a 20-year plan that inspires and you lock down basic policy. No government can find a successor, but if you are radical enough, for example, the person who moved out to Abuja was Murtala Mohammed. He only lasted 6 months. But in those 6 months, he said, we will move to Abuja. We have not reversed since that time. We are in Abuja now. So if government had been as visionary as his own, Abuja would have been better than Dubai, or it started before Dubai. So that's the kind of thing you do. You make laws, you make things, and you communicate with people what your vision is so that they can understand where you are going. Mandela fought against apartheid. Mandela is dead. The apartheid government is not coming back. So a leader can make changes that will last over time if he can inspire people and can get them to buy into it, becomes the culture of the people. Regarding the civil servants, they can't tell me something. The reason why I'm elected is to stop the way you have been doing things. So I know them quite enough. I know that they are not serving the people. And in that case, they're also not serving themselves. But when they retire, they go into penury and problems. So I make sure that I give direction. Don't let anybody deceive you that when they get into government, they talk confused. No, when they get into government, they have opportunities to do bad things. They follow it. It's not people in government who confuses you. The president, when he comes, and the vice president, they can fire everybody. They can throw everybody out and start afresh if they want to. But, excuse me, they just come in and buy into the opportunity to make money for themselves and save money for the next politics. So that is not going to happen at our time.
Thank you very much.
But thank you very much. I think let me answer my sister's question. You're talking about continuity. If we are the president, we have the president of the president. What am I going to do that whatever is established now will continue? I think it's very easy. Anything that is being digital is very difficult for you to reverse. It's just like asking the MDs of all the banks in Nigeria, what are you going to do so that in another 20 years, 50 years, ATM, if I want to withdraw from my account, I will not use my card to withdraw some money because it's digital. So there are certain things we can do now, and there is nothing anybody can do to reverse it. I think corruption that we are talking about today seems to be intentional. For example, look at the bank. It doesn't matter who you are. If at the end of the day, closing hour, and only 20 naira or 200 naira is missing, no manager will say, okay, I'll just take it from my pocket. It's okay. I think it's a computer. They have to find out which one among them are made a mistake, who overpaid, and they have to see to the end of it before they can even replace the money, or they ask the person to not pay that. Now the problem today is because we do not have accountability and nobody doing something possible for all these classes that we're doing. So it's a lot easy. Whatever that goes digital remains forever.
Thank you very much.
Well, I thank everyone, and I just want to make it very clear. I'm a disruptor. I live my life disrupting status quo in the country. When I arrived at the university, yes, when I arrived at the University of Lagos, my university used to be called a cook for show because they don't participate in protests. By the time we left the university, we had become a revolutionary student union, one of the most revolutionary in Nigeria by the 90s. When I left to go to the US, there was no, I got tired of reading from the media that is so compromised. I set up a media company myself. And when I was arrested in 2019, one of the things the DSS happily told me is that now that we have arrested you, Sahara reporters will die and we can rest. But they discovered that I wasn't the one operating Sahara reporter. And today they didn't find out how I brought a phone into myself because I'm a disruptor. And many things that I've done in life are things that are there to change the status quo. I'm answering our sister over there who is saying, how do you ensure continuity of your ideas? Ideas that are strong, powerful, and revolutionary cannot be reversed. I'll give you small examples about the French Revolution. The French Revolution, the first one happened in, I think, 1789. And there was an attempt by the Bourbons to come back in 1879 because they thought the people had forgotten. The people rose up again because they said, we are not reversing, we are not going back to the Bourbons. That is where that particular word came from, that the Bourbons have two problems. They don't forget and they don't learn. That's the same way with Nigerian leaders. They don't forget, but they also don't learn. And that is why they will be consumed very soon by the contradictions they created in this society. I believe in all of this that we are doing, that is going to end up in a revolution one day. And all of you can say amen to that.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Shawara, please, your closing remark why people should actually vote for you.
After telling you all that we've said here, after staying awake, this is our second presidential town hall meeting tonight. Today, the other candidates who are not showing up, if you vote for any of these candidates who don't address you, you have a problem. You really have a serious problem. If you vote for these guys who don't talk to you, who have no ideas, who are sick, unwell, and derelict, then the problem is yours. You cannot blame anybody for it again. We have been talking to you now for close to 2 hours. Before we came here, we were in a 3-hour conversation. As we are here, we have not opened a book to, as you say, cheat. We have just spoken directly from our heart and our mind, and we have demonstrated to you that governance is not rocket science. It is not needed for somebody to be a genius to run Nigeria. In fact, what Nigeria has shown to us in the last 60-something years is that the more foolish the leader is, the more Nigerians love them. Yes, so stop voting for foolish leaders. I am begging you. And if you do, I will beg you to not complain anymore. You have a chance now to redeem yourself and your country. And I can guarantee you that I'm humble enough that even if it is not me, there's somebody in this room that can govern Nigeria better than all the other candidates that are the ones they want to come on today.
Thank you. Rescue movement.
Thank you so much. Again, big thanks to everyone. I know you'll be here for it. But I want to believe that I'll be the first candidate in 2023 as the president of Nigeria. And I'll tell you why. One, we have 18 presidential candidates. 17 now. All right, thank you. And number one, I happen to be one who is ordained as a pastor. for so many years. So which means whatever we are doing now, there's a divine purpose and divine revelation concerning what we are doing. That's number one. Number two, all the 17 presidential candidates, you can as well go and check. It appears that I'm the one who also picked my candidate from the president of Adebayo, Mohammed Faki, who came all the way from Kano to support what we're doing to defeat Nigeria. I'm not even only that. I've always said it before that we didn't begin in 2019 that by the grace of God as president of Nigeria, more than 50% of all the appointments, be it ministerial appointments, DGs, executive secretaries, and ambassadors and what have you, is coming from our youth. And I will be the first person to implement it in Nigeria. And again, out of that, more than 70% of them, those who we refer to as children of the poor. I don't believe anyone is a child of the poor person, but because inability to do certain things. Why? Because without them, there will be no future in this country. We will never have a Nigeria. So I'm here to say, for those people that they cannot reckon with, those who are not considered the children of the poor, they are nobody, our youth. I'm saying I'm your president. More than 50% of all the appointments, yours. And not even only that, and our women, for once, will be highly recognized in the country because to some extent that's equality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
What I can say is that Nigeria has all it takes to make every Nigerian to be as productive as any European country, to be as comfortable as people from UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, any other country that we look up to. And that the Nigerian politics has been divided into two. Those who are maintaining the status quo, who are doing politics so that there will be no change. So they gather together every 4 years when the election comes, they eliminate intelligent people, they black out new ideas, and they sustain themselves in politics before by rigging, by violence, by manipulation through INEC and law enforcement. This year, that equalization is coming, where because election has gone digital in an area in which they have no talent, they are now migrating to let us do two things. Let us confuse the public by clowning and rigging the media. So they will say front runners, this and that, they will be doing the way they won't call other people, they will do all sorts of things. Secondly, by calling sacks and sacks of money and branded rice and everything to confuse the electorate. So that's one side of the story. The second side of the story are visionary, patriotic Nigerians who believe that even those who are making billions now from criminality, they will make more money legitimately if we allow this country to run well. And we are trying to introduce to you a system whereby you temporarily forget about your needs now. You temporarily forget about gaining anything now. You set for Nigeria a stable government by voting for a government that will enforce the fundamental rights in Chapter 4, also enforce some socio-economic rights in the fundamental objectives and guiding principle of state policy in Chapter 2 of the Constitution. So if you do that, you will not need anyone's help anymore. And on a final note, I am 50 years old in Nigeria. Most of the problems we are talking about, poverty, insecurity, unemployment, they don't apply to me. It never applied to me before. So I'm not fighting for myself. I'm fighting for Nigeria so that the identity of a Nigerian as a poor person is an insult when we are from the richest country in the world. The identity of a Nigeria as a hustler, identity of Nigeria as a migrant, and all of that, we need to stop it. And until now, You will go to God and say, God punish the politicians because they didn't give the opportunity. Now, you cannot go to God and say, God punish them. No, because you have the right to vote them out. If you don't vote them out and don't invest in a new vision, well, you are your own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor President.
Okay. If countries like Grenada, France, recently we have the United Kingdom, have leaders who are of their youthful age. This is an economy that is 100 times larger than what Nigeria economy is. Then I see no reason why Nigeria cannot again look at it and decide to vote for fresh ideas and men who have proven track record in their private life. You know, I would have said so much if candidates of the APC, PDP, or the affiliates, I call Labour and NLP, the affiliates, are here. But I don't see any of these candidates here as candidates that I'm sure that no matter what I see them, I see us as associates because we represent that ideology. So I'm not going to be standing here to say so much, but this is what I will say. Check my track record. I am young. I'm probably the only black man who is 3 universities in the world. I'm probably the only one in Nigeria privately who has given away 100,000 Nigeria scholarship. At my age, go and check. See, you know, we must as a nation begin to research to know who lead us. The biggest problem we have in Nigeria is that, maybe the black, we don't try to research our leaders. We only follow what the media says and we follow. The position of a president is someone who wants to manage your country. You must deliberately check to know who are these people. We stand here as a new ideology, and I believe, like they said, like Shore said, and I've been talking to, I said, yes, a core party, we are going into this race fully, and we are not looking back. Today, Morocco won Portugal, and who tells us we cannot win those who are called the giants? So if given a chance, I believe we'll aggressively drive the economy and we'll take Nigeria to the place it ought to be. I'm just tired like you. I was minding my business, building my business, supporting other nations. I've supported Sierra Leone, Togo, Ghana, many nations with provisions of scholarship. But I thought of it, do we continue to leave our economy and the future of our children in the hands of this very one that don't believe in our country? So I'm just tired of you, and I believe if we begin to look at leadership and we begin to vote for the right candidate, let me say this. You do not lose your vote when you vote for us. You only lose your vote when you vote for a candidate that will end up torment your life. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. Thank you to Mr. Shore. Thank you, Mr. Asegwe, for being here. Asakwe. Osakwe. Osakwe. Prince Adebayo. And Professor Chris. And to you, ladies and gentlemen, that have been gracious to us as Nigerians. Nigeria, the most beautiful country, the great iconic black nation in the world, more than 200 million of us, and more than 14 million, 20 million in the diaspora. The 2023 election is really in your hand. Each one of you have access to thousands more people. We thank you for your leadership by being here tonight. And really and truly, if you're happy with the way Nigeria is as of today, please vote for the same team. If you're not happy with the way Nigeria is as of today, please vote for alternative team. The peace and joy and happiness of your life depend on you. Your thumbprint decide who you're going to cast your vote for. If you're not able to cast your vote, you have the access and the possibility to tell other people about the candidate you have interacted with, you have read, you have watched, you have listened to. Let's collectively make Nigeria a great nation that we believe she could be, she has been, but could be even greater. Tonight, we have 4 presidential candidates that were able to graciously come and interact with us. Once again, we say thank you very much for being here. I want to thank the supporters, the facilitators, and the Nigerian youth. they can tell me that after. The Nigerian youth, for putting this together, it took them months, resources, which some of them do not have and have to use their personal resources to get to this level. And I encourage and invite any and every one of you that can support the Nigerian youth, especially the organizations that have been here to put this thing together. So congratulations to you, the Nigerian youth, from 50 downward to 18, because that's the age that is allowed to vote, isn't it? And one thing that please each and every one of you should kindly take on board in your mind is these four presidential candidates, they were contributing and interacting and somehow one way or another supporting each other, even though they may disagree. So we, the voters, the followers, must not try to do what we haven't seen them doing, which means abusing each other and fighting. If the leaders that we're trying to emulate and vote for are sitting here comfortably, we, the followers, should do the same. And I hope and I pray that Nigeria would be great again in our lifetime rather than when we are around. Once again, God bless you. Thank you very much. Dalu, Mungodi, Adewole, Ogoyin Tewa Bibai, and if I Adebayo gidi gan, wọ́n sì sọ̀rọ̀ tán, ẹjọ́ ẹlọ́dìbò tó dáa. Ranka daɗe maza da mata da suka zanna nan wurin da kuka zo, kun ji abubuwan da suka hibi, don Allah, Arewa kuna da ƙarfi, kuna da lamba, kuna da yawa. Duk wanda ya magana sai ce maganar Arewa. Ni ma na ce ni ma ɗan Arewa ne, wanda wannan ni ma ɗan can wurin. Tsakanina ɗan Najeriya ne su. Na gode kwarai, Allah ya taimake ku, Allah ruwa mana asiri, Allah sa Najeriya ta zama ƙasar da muke son ta zama. Na ji kun ce amin? Ba kwana lafiya wannan wasa, wannan magana mun kawo ta to conclusion. God bless you. You see, that's why the trick is always start with people. That's why I say that. Okay, in there. Aham Wallace, I showed it from London. Kachibono, Benemesia, Chukutai. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We are about to come to an end.
And thank you very much to the ambassador, all the way from Kano for being here. God bless you.
We're about to come to an end for the 2022 presidential debate right now. But before we take the closing remark, which will be taken by the DYTI Imam, we just have a few announcements for us here. Number one, there's going to be a group photograph. Number one, there's going to be a group photograph that will go in this order. One, the candidates that took part in the debate along with organizing committee. Two, the candidates along with the digital imam and the organizing committee. Three, the third photograph. Then after that, we'll now have a brief press conference. Okay, only by just the organizers. And so please, we want to, at this juncture, recognize the presence of Alhaji Yahaya Kwabo Fage, the vice presidential candidate of National Rescue Movement that came in all the way from Kano to be part of this. Welcome you, sir. And we also want to recognize the presence of the media, among who are Kaftan Television, that was live and has been live till now. Ben TV also has been live, NNTV, Arise TV, and then TSTV. Once again, we want to thank you all for being part of this occasion. And we also want to say thank you, the moderator, and for everyone. Thank you, the presidential candidate, for taking time out of your tight schedule to be here with us. A lot of money has been spent on this. Millions have gone when we look at the cost of going live on television and others. Please, like the moderator has said, members of the audience that want to support, you are highly welcome. Therefore, we quickly take the closing remark by Sheikh Mohammed Nuru Khalid, also known as the Digital Imam. The closing remark from the Digital Imam, and then we'll quickly take the group photograph. The Digital Imam.
Hello. Hello. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to start with the presidential candidates present here, the moderator, and the organizing committee. I'm happy to stand here to give a very brief closing remarks. Some of you may want to know why this gathering. Or some people over there will be asking, why this gathering? The answer is simple. We want to be informed. And we want the youth to take ownership. Ownership of what? Their future. Their tomorrow. If you don't take ownership of how to build your own future, you will end up making the same mistake of voting incompetent politicians. We are not here to tell you who to vote in. We are here to help you identify your choice. And you know your choice must be simple, capable, willing, and sacrifice leader who will sacrifice his life for you. We have had enough failure in our country. Nigeria is either to get it right in this coming election, or God forbid, we have no country to be proud of anymore. Because if we make a mistake and tear Nigeria apart, we have ourselves to blame. Therefore, let's start opening our eyes. They have started doing what the Hausa people say. If you have a shame, just cover it with madness. They have failure already, and they want to cover it with a madness. And that madness is using the most valuable thing you have, that is religion. They are using it to cover their own failure. They have done it before, and they will continue doing it. Don't allow anybody to tell you your identity. You have a common ground of identity. You are a Nigerian. You are a human being. Don't allow anybody to change that for you. You are a human being. You are Nigerian. When it comes to election, you need only one identity. That is, you are Nigerian and you are voting for a better Nigeria. You are voting for what? Better Nigeria. I want somebody to say, I will vote for a better Nigeria. I will vote for a better Nigeria. Again. I will vote for a better Nigeria. Again. I will vote for a better Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, we are going to have the group photograph right now. Immediately, the presidential candidates still sit down so that the organizing committee will stand behind. We'll have a group photograph. Then immediately after the group photograph, the national anthem, And so please, as we take the national anthem, then we can now take the press conference. Go for it.
Why don't you look into the future?
Quickly take the national anthem before we go. Please, let's get ready for the national anthem. Let's honor the country as we take the national anthem.
Josh.
And please, immediately after the national anthem, the audience can go while the pressmen wait behind for the press conference. National anthem.
Why don't you look into the future? No illusions be now. This is Nigeria. George. No, I see.